So I'm Jane, as you know, and I went to Antarctica and also did a little side trip to Iguazu Falls at the end of February. I left on February 14th from here. So that's the time I went. Like a lot of people do, I did the trek and paddle in Tierra del Fuego National Park, and it was basically an SIB tour. I was staying at a Airbnb, and they picked me up at the Airbnb. It was kind of a lot of driving around to pick everyone up, so it was probably like an hour-ish of just driving in the morning to just pick everyone up. So that was kind of, I don't know if this can be done privately. I believe it might be able to. You might be able to do it privately. There was about 15 people in the group, so it was pretty big. Again, I don't know if that was normal or if they just put me in that because they could. And we did, a hike and then went in this inflatable raft thing. You can see kind of how it looks here. Yeah, the rafting part was just like us kind of just floating around for like an hour. So it was kind of, it was nice to get in the water, but it wasn't anything super strenuous. The hiking, for some of the older people, it was a little bit hard. There was, it was a good morning of hiking, especially for people who aren't used to hiking. It was, a lot of up and down and a little bit of rocky terrain. So, that's something to consider. Our guide was really good. He told us a lot about, the local history, which was interesting, and like the indigenous people, and showed us a lot of plants and things like that in the area, like plants and geographical things. So that was basically that. It was, just a couple hours. We had lunch. Lunch was good. We had lunch in like this geodesic dome type thing. And it was good. It was like we had like a stew and a soup or a stew and like a salad and some bread and a dessert. So yeah, it was a good excursion. I'd been to Tierra del Fuego National Park before, but I didn't like do this excursion. So that was nice. And then, are there any questions about that part before I go on to the Antarctica part? All right. The MV Ushuaia was the ship that I went on. It holds 88 people. It's actually a former NOAA research ship. So it's, pretty utilitarian. You're not going to get, I'm sure as most of you know, you're not going to get like helicopters or kayaking or camping or, jacuzzis or anything like that. It's, a pretty basic ship. On board, and I'm more of the backpacker type, so I wanted to kind of experience what that would be like, especially on a smaller vessel, one of the smaller vessels in Antarctica. My thing, yeah, it's with the Ocean Nova, Anne and I were talking about that. They're similarly sized, but the MV Ushuaia is a little bit bigger. I was put in a single cabin. I took some pictures of the other cabins as well so you could get an idea. This was my bed up in the upper corner here. So, I mean, pretty basic. There's like a desk and then the bathroom door is right there. And the sink was like right adjacent, like across from the bed. It was hard to get a picture of the room because it was pretty small, so you couldn't really get a view. I had like an obstructed porthole view, so there was really no view out the window. It was just there was like one of the life rafts in front of the porthole. But I was really glad that I didn't have to share my room with somebody, because I did get sick one of the nights because of the drake. You can see here that like there's these little holes that you can put like a railing into, which I did as well one of the nights in the drake because it got really, really rocky. I took a picture of one of the other rooms here. You can see that this is like a normal room with a window. This is my bathroom. Again, pretty basic, and you can kind of see, there's some wear and tear on the ship. It's, could probably use a refurbishing, but I don't, know how much longer the ship's going to be in service itself, so probably not worth it. On to more of the ship. It had, a very like utilitarian, I would say, but at the same time, kind of homey, like ish, just kind of haphazardly homey. Like you were like in someone's house that they lived in for a long time, and like, yeah, like because it's like family owned. It's not doesn't feel corporate. It just feels kind of just like more or less like a floating hostel. Um, in a way. Like you can see here, there's just like books that people have left, and the random coffee station, and this is like the lounge and the bar. The bar's here, and this is the lounge, and the lounge. This is basically like the only public space on the ship, besides the decks. So with these chairs kind of being stationary, not being able to move, it's there's not that's one of the things that I would have liked, was to have more public areas on the ship. So if people are looking for that, probably this isn't the best option for them. Also the windows on the entire ship were pretty small. There wasn't like any like floor to ceiling windows. We all good so far? So weird to be talking and
doing good.
Not hearing anyone's reaction.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
It looks kind of like a ferry.
It kind of, yeah. I mean, like it does feel that way. I mean, it doesn't feel like comfortable and plush. Again, like it feels very utilitarian, but the vibe was very homey, like almost like a hostel. I don't really know how to explain it besides that. Like it's kind of like, yeah, you can do whatever you want and just like chill, and like, yeah, it was just like very relaxed. This is like one of the decks on top. Again, like not very many public. Whoa, crap! Not very many public spaces. Here was like one of the public spaces on the like the top deck. And then this was the dining room. Small. All the tables were like 6+ people. They had these like fixed swivelly chairs. Again, small windows. Which was, when you were eating, I thought it would have been nice to have a better view of what was going by. So that's definitely an advantage there. As far as like demographics, I guess we could talk about that, since there's a couple of people you can see on the ship. I'd say average age was like 60, 50, 60. There was like a couple 30, 40-year-olds as well. And then a couple on the older end there, but I'd say there was a good mix. There was a lot of nationalities represented as well. American, North American, European, Australian. So a good mix of people, especially on a small ship like this. Here's an obligatory penguin picture. You can see that they're kind of like fluffy and molting. There's some chin strap dudes. Again, as you can see, there's like all this stuff is penguin poop. So, going at the end of February, and I think was talking about that, there's a penguin poop that you're gonna see. Questions? No. So on to more of the ship experience.
What time of year you went, and I was about to ask what time of year you went, and then you said February, and so I muted and then unmuted and then muted myself again.
Oh, hey, I'm getting a call. Let's put that to voicemail. All right. And then the ship experience itself was, I was really surprised with the food. I thought that they like tried to make, like the breakfast was the same the entire time. Bread. It was like a buffet, very, very simple. Bread, eggs, bacon, like a French toast or a pancake, and then like some fresh fruit. So breakfast was pretty simple. And And then everything else, there was, there wasn't any options. There was just one main meal for lunch, and lunch was usually like a soup, and then a super salad, and then the main course. And then dinner was super salad, main course, and then desserts as well. But I think that they did a really good job. If you're a vegetarian, they accommodated those people. But if you're a picky eater and you want lots of choices, not probably the ship for you, because again, there's only one choice. But again, they tried to be fancy. Oh crap. The desserts were really good. And yeah, the chefs were good. I was impressed by the food. I was pleasantly surprised by the food, besides breakfast, but it's breakfast. I had my birthday on the ship. There I am, not having showered for a couple days on the Drake. And they made me a cake. There was a couple of birthdays on the ship. They also made like a welcome to Antarctica cake for everybody when we got there. So that was cool. And you can see here like kind of a table setup. For excursions, this is like, there's one Zodiac loading spot. Why does it keep doing that? Okay. And they had the Zodiacs kind of on top and would lower them down with a crane, before the excursions would start. As far as like excursions and like Zodiac excursions, I thought we were going to have more Zodiac excursions. We had a lot of time on land, which was great. We had like 2 Zodiac only excursions, pretty much like the entire cruise. Which was, and I really enjoyed those because, we saw whales and things like that. So it would have been, I thought it might have been nice to have, another one, but I did enjoy, we got to spend quite a lot of time on land. It was, basically just like first come, first serve, whoever gets on the boat. They didn't like count you. You could be out the first on the boat and the last to come back. So, it was like 3 to 4 hours on shore at a time, and we did like at least 1 or 2 excursions on shore each day. So they definitely kept us busy. This is like the line. So there was like a line that you had to wait in. I know we tell people like, oh, if you're on a smaller ship, like there's less waiting. But like when you can only load, 6 to 8 people in a Zodiac at a time, and you have to wait for the Zodiacs to come back and forth. They only had like 4 or 5 Zodiacs total on the ship. So it did, there were moments where you did feel like you were kind of just standing in line, for maybe like 20 minutes, if you were at the end of like 25 minutes. So, that's definitely an expectation to set with people. These 2 guys were like these crazy Irish guys. They almost didn't let them on the boat because they were drinking. And so that's interesting. And they actually bought the entire bar out of whiskey. Like there was no whiskey at the end of the trip because they bought the entire bar out of whiskey. So, woohoo! Really good time to see whales, as I'm sure most of you know. At the end of February, March, we saw like a pod of like 30 orcas chasing a seal, like we were on the ship, like getting ready to board the Zodiacs. And then the Zodiac driver like kind of just started moving, like going around with the Zodiac, and the whales were following him. So that was cool. I'd like never seen whales before. We saw a minke whale. This is not my photo. But we were on like top of a hill. We had climbed up in Paradise Bay and saw a minke whale. And it was following some of the Zodiacs that were down at the bottom. So that was pretty cool. So this is also an interesting thing. I also feel like I'm kind of skipping around. So if you're not logically following me, I'm sorry. I tried to be logical with moving around, but it is what it is. There was actually a group of swimmers on board. So there was a group of ice swimmers from Europe, like a team kind of, and they were like maybe like 15 people, and they usually like organized, they had like their own doctor, they had their own, and I'm sure they paid for it, but like they organized them to do their swimming things, and there were some records broken. They swam in a couple of different places. There was a record broken for like the first mile or swum below the Antarctic Circle, I think it was. So that was kind of cool to like watch these crazy people swim in this really cold water. I have a video here of one of their swims. You want to see it? I don't know if you can hear it, but it doesn't matter. Sorry for the shaky video. So that was cool. So, you know, I think because the MBU Ushuaia is so small, they can organize things like this, organize special things for people to do. So, you know, if you have maybe like a special interest group or something like that, or, you know, a charter, they'd be a good fit for them if they don't, you know, they don't care about, you know, luxury or anything like that. Any questions? Good. For the polar plunge, I was also, you know, expecting. This is at Deception Island. I was expecting it to be like off the ship, you know, like jumping off the ship into the water, because I'd seen a lot of other people like jumping off the ship into the water, but we just like did ours. Like they just took the Zodiacs up to a beach, and we're like, okay, we're gonna get in the water now, and so like we just like ran into the water, which I think was like different than what I had expected, but it was cool because like you're on this beach and like you can see all this like smoke here because the water is like warmer. So I also didn't really feel like I was doing a polar plunge because the water was basically like volcanic at the top like layer. But you know, it was cool. That's like at me being scared and then me being like, holy cow, this water is pretty darn cold. So yeah, we just like basically just stood on the beach and ran into the water. And I'm pretty sure this is the way that they do it all the time on the Ushuaia for the polar plunge. Like they don't do a jumping in from the ship. This was so it was a polar circle crossing. This is kind of our route that they gave us. At the end of the trip, they gave us a little, I have it plugged into my computer, but like a little, maybe the back part of it, a little USB that looked like the ship. It was a nice little thing. And it had like all the maps and all the like pictures that the photographer on board was taking, and you know, everything else like that. So that was kind of nice to have. I could try to pull it up for you guys. So like this is like the drive, you can see it. Daily programs, lectures, they put the lectures in there. They made a video as well, like a 15-minute video of the entire expedition that they had put together, which I thought was a really nice touch to have. And so it was things like that I thought were really nice touches that they offered to the packs. So these were our stops. So we went all the way down. We did 3 continental. Whoa, what is my camera doing? Holy cow, it like zoomed out all by itself. We had 3 continental landings, which I guess is kind of rare. I don't know how many other people have done on their cruises, but we had 3. And we visited a couple of bases. We visited Vernadsky Station, ground station, which I believe was closed. Yeah. So we made it across the circle. We made a stop below the circle on land, and then, you know, back up. So that was our route. Any questions?
So you did do excursions below the circle?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So these were like the excursions we did below the circle. So we did Detail Island and Hanus Bay. which is like a Zodiac cruise. And we did do a landing. So Detail Island was pretty interesting. I have a picture of it. Here's one picture. That was Detail Island, which was really cool. That was like one of my favorite spots. It was really pretty, and there was like and they normally don't stop there. Our leaders told us that like they hadn't ever been there in like the 10 years that they'd been, like they could never make a landing there. So we got really lucky to be able to do it because usually it was too covered in ice.
Nice.
So how many days total did you get around the peninsula?
It was like a 12-day cruise or 11-day.
Okay, and it was 2 days each way on the Drake for you guys?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh wow, so you had a lot of time there.
Yeah, so a polar circle crossing definitely gives you, you know, a lot of extra time because you have to make it all the way down. And it was cool. Like the polar circle, they announced it and we had like a shot when we crossed. So that was exciting. There were some people who were really excited. They were like some foreign people that didn't speak English that well, and they like didn't really understand what the polar circle was, and they were like, well, what is it? Like, can you actually see it? Is it like a thing? And they're like, no, it's literally just like an imaginary geographic line. It was funny. What was I gonna say? Oh, landing sites. I thought that was interesting because we had a couple times where like they didn't really know what landing site we were going to be at, and like they couldn't make a landing site because there were so many other ships in the area. Like we saw a lot of other ships. We saw the Magellan Explorer, we saw a Quark ship, I don't remember what it was. We saw a lot of ships, which was also surprising to me. And so like there was some difficulty in finding landing sites because again, like they have to sign up for the landing sites in advance, and you can only sign up for like one per day or something. So if another ship is there or has already signed up for it but like didn't make it, it just complicates things. So I was talking with the guys on the bridge, and they said it is getting more complicated just as more ships you know, are in the area. It becomes more complicated to have landing sites for all the ships. So I can imagine, you know, in the coming years, as more ships go down to Antarctica, that like it's going to become increasingly difficult to have enough landing sites for the amount of ships that are down there, which I thought was an interesting insight that I hadn't really thought about, because there's only so many landing sites and so many ships, but the ships are increasing and the landing sites aren't increasing. So picture, Detail Island. So about the crew and the team was all Argentinian and South American. Yeah, this lady was like German but has lived in South America for like ever. A lot of the team, like this guy, this was his first or second voyage. This guy was like his second season. So there was some newer people. There was the expedition leader was Kata, and she had a PhD in biology. This was the historian, and then the others had just studied biology. So there wasn't like a glaciologist, there wasn't like a specific bird person. It was all pretty much just general biology. So if people are looking, you know, for specific, you know, scientists that are specified in a certain field, I don't know I know that they rotate expedition leaders, so maybe this was just the one, but I didn't feel like there was a whole lot of diversity in the expedition leaders as far as like their fields of study. But I thought that they did do good lectures. They were you know, pretty general about, you know, the history of the expeditions. I missed a couple because I was sick from the Drake, but one about ice and things like that. And they were all in Spanish and English. So if you have people who, do speak Spanish or want to learn Spanish, this is a good ship for it, because again, everyone, all the crew, like the dining room crew, everyone was was from South America. So that was cool because they kept it local and gave you an opportunity to speak Spanish. So that was nice. This was at we did like a ceremony. Everyone got a certificate so that they crossed the polar circle and did the expedition. So they called everyone's name up one by one to take a picture. Any questions before the Iguazu portion?
Did you love it? Were you disappointed in anything? Did it meet your expectations?
It met my expectations. Yeah. It kind of went above. I had like pretty low expectations. Because like it's the MV Ushuaia, it's like a really basic ship. So I didn't have like super high expectations. The food was a lot better than I thought it would be. Yeah. It's Antarctica. You can't really be disappointed too much. So, where they took us, I thought they took us to a good amount of landing sites. I saw a lot of penguins, like the first landing site in Yankee Harbor on my birthday. There was like so many penguins. That was like the day where we saw the most penguins. So that was really exciting.
Were they still in their colony, or were they kind of out and about, or?
I can show you. They were in, what the heck? Oh. They were in their colony. They were like, there was a lot of them. And they were all Gentoos. So it was like I would assume that they were still in their colony.
Yeah, that looks like it.
I was gonna ask, what else species did you see of penguins?
We saw
Gentoos and
Gentoos, chin straps, and we did see Adelies, but only like once or twice, and only a couple of them. And like from far away. Like we didn't like see any colonies or anything. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I don't really have any pictures of Adelies because there wasn't many of those guys. But we did see like a lot of species, which was really cool. There's a wildlife checklist here. I can pull up real quick. Let me know if I'm boring you. We did see like, and this is like, all this information is really nice to have because you forget things and you forget what you saw. So it tells you like we saw Adelies twice. We saw chin straps, Gentoos, the birds, all the seals. We saw all these, like every single seal. We saw like one elephant seal, so that was interesting. All the whales. We saw humpbacks, orcas, and minkies. So we had a lot of luck with wildlife. And then, all right. Anything else? All right, Iguazu Falls. So basically, I got off the ship. We at like 8, they made us get off. In Ushuaia, there was like nothing open, so me and some other people from the ship just went and sat outside, like on some public steps outside of a bank for a while until like a coffee shop opened, because our flights weren't until like 1. So we just like drank coffee and killed some time, and then went to the to the airport. I think I was going to the airport when Anna was arriving, which was cool, but I didn't see her. And then I went to Iguazu Falls, so I had to fly through. Buenos Aires through Aeroparque, and then take another flight to Iguazu in Argentina, and I arrived at like 7 at night or so, and was picked up at the airport in Iguazu, and Calpa had arranged a pickup and as well as the classic 3-day Argentina to Brazil itinerary where you spend 1 full day in Argentina and a half a day in Brazil, which is pretty much all you need. It was really hot. It was really, really hot and humid, which was nice coming from Antarctica, to kind of feel a little bit of tropicalness before going back to Montana. Here's our guide. I was in like an SIB tour as well on this, and again, so like Calpa can do SIB, they can also do private. There was a lot of people. There was like 17 or so people. It was a big group of people. The guide was, I don't know, I thought the guide was fine. I'm not like a big group tour person because I like to take my time, and I felt like kind of rushed from place to place. So if I went back, I would like to do it myself and just take my time and walk around. The Argentina side definitely felt more crowded than the Brazil side. It also felt like kind of Disney Worldy. There's a lot of people. It might have also been because it's like summer there and it's like was near Carnival, so it was pretty busy. You can get like there's all these pathways. You can see the map is like really extensive for where you can go, and we walked around quite a lot of these trails. There was a lot of stairs kind of going up and down. The walkways are pretty easy for people, but the stairs for some of the older people in the group were difficult, especially with the heat. They kind of just waited for the group while they went up and down the stairs and did a lot of the walking, because it was a lot of walking in really, really hot weather. And parts of the trails, I mean, are wheelchair accessible on these like rampy things, so that's cool if you have anyone who needs a wheelchair or something like that. That's an option on certain parts of the trails. So that's kind of nice. A nice part about it being kind of Disney-fied. Yeah, like this was a train that takes you around again. Like it just felt kind of Disney-fied in that way. Like how Disney has like those tram things and they take you around on them, and like there's an announcer thing and everyone like rushes onto the like there was so many people like in this line and everyone just like rushes onto it, and there's trains like every like couple minutes. It's interesting. But there's always like these on the Argentinian side, there's these view falls. These are the falls, and then you see the Devil's Throat, which is like where all the water just kind of goes in, and I didn't get good pictures of that because it was too wet, but yeah, it all goes in. It was cool. The wildlife was cool. I saw toucans, lots of cool butterflies, and then these coati dudes that really like to steal your food. They're like little raccoons. They're cute but annoying and kind of scary. I don't know. I didn't really want to get bit by one because they could be like rabbit or something. But that was nice. I really liked seeing the toucans because I'd never seen one before. Coatis were like an interesting, unique animal. Definitely felt very tropical, very jungly, very, naturey. The Great Adventure Group excursion was basically you go to this spot, they put you on this like I think in our description it's just like 4x4 vehicle. This is the 4x4 vehicle. It's just like a truck with seats in it, like a large flatbed truck. They take you in it, you drive around. We saw some toucans and some butterflies and things like that, so that was cool. And then there's like a guide standing at the front that like tells you some facts about Iguazu. And then you go on you like walk down this walkway to the boat. And I have a video of the boat here if you want to see it. So you walk down to the boat, you get on the boat, and then you go literally under the waterfalls, which I thought was really cool. I'm gonna turn down the volume because you can hear me screaming a lot. Maybe you can't hear it. I don't know. Can you hear it? The video?
Nope, I can't.
Okay. Well, it's basically just me going, woohoo! I'll narrate it for you. It's like, wah! So it was really thrilling. It was really fun. Like I had a underwater camera. Met these nice Mexican people. So it was cool. You got to like literally go right under them. They take you around. There's a guy explaining stuff. They give you dry bags for your things. I had brought my own dry bag for Antarctica, so I just brought it with me because I wasn't sure, the quality of them, but it was fine. There's the guy like films you and they like sell you a video at the end of it, so they're trying to make a profit on everything. It's like Disney World. But yeah, no, it was really fun and it was nice to like get in the water and refresh yourself a little bit, and it was nice after like walking around the entire day to go in the water. La Cantera Lodge was really nice. For our standard hotel, it's not a luxury hotel, but the pool was really nice. It was really clean. It had kind of like a 50s feel to it. And remember they had these weird like, let's see here, like just these weird like metal vintage statue-y things, and like kind of like a 50s theme. But like there was like walkways, so like it was a one-story building, and then there were these walkways with like trees growing out of it, and like the trees had like you could learn about the different plants. They had like different placards, so you could learn about like the jungle plants. This was a little balcony off my room, like a flat, not balcony, I guess, a little patio. And the pool was really nice. I met these girls from the U.S. and we spent like so after the Argentina tour, I went back to the hotel obviously, and we spent the night drinking by the pool, which I regretted the next morning when I had to wake up really early to go to Brazil. But you make your decisions and you have to live with them. This was the food at the restaurant that was at La Cantera. It's pretty removed from everything else. You have to go down this road. You're like basically right across from this indigenous community. You're not like in town at all. So to go into like town to get food, I was just too tired to do it. So I just ate at the hotel for dinner. And they had pretty good food. Just like some fish empanadas and these were like grilled shrimp as like an appetizer. And then breakfast was just your regular buffet. So it was a cute little place, with decent food. Question? Wait, why didn't I guess I didn't go over the Brazil part. I don't know why. So the Brazil part of the falls is basically just one, like this picture was taken at the Brazil Falls. Like it's a really short excursion. You basically only have to go, you basically have one, I mean, Kevin knows about it. It's like there's the hotel and then there's like one pathway and then like a little elevator that takes you up and that's it. So it's a pretty short excursion. I mean, after I was not feeling very well from making bad alcohol decisions the night before, so with the sun. So I was glad that it was short, and I was glad that I had spent the entire previous day in I was glad that I had spent the entire previous day in the Argentinian side and had a chance to explore that as well. Because there's quite a lot to see. I guess we can look at some more pickies. Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful place. I enjoyed it, and it was good to learn about it because I feel like a lot of requests that I've had recently have been for Iguazu, weirdly. So,
Would you agree that both sides, it's worth seeing both sides? Like traditionally, we only sent people to the Argentine side.
if they're short on time, I would say the like if they literally only have one day, like the Argentinian side, do the Argentinian side over the Brazil side. But like, I thought it was cool. I thought it was nice to see, and like I went to Brazil. Like I don't know. I didn't really feel like there was anything different. I felt like it was like I'd seen waterfalls the entire previous day, and then I saw more waterfalls, and I was just like, I don't know. Maybe I was like waterfalled out or tired or something. But it was like my last day, and so
That's fair.
so you know, you could do it in one day. I mean, if people really want to fly all that way and do it in one day, sure. But if you're there, do the Brazil side.
What was your timing then as you left Brazil? Like you said you had to get up early in order to do the Brazil side. Was that to then be able to catch a flight that same day?
Yes. So I did another like a SIB tour again. So they had to pick everyone up from the other hotels on the way. So you know, it was like a 7 a.m., 7 or 8 a.m. kind of thing, and then it was over, you know, by like 1. It was, I mean, it was really short. We got across the border really quick. I mean, I also think that the earlier the better for crossing the border. They wanted to like beat some of the crowds, the heat. So yeah, I had my flight was in like the 3 or something like that. So I mean, I cut it maybe 4. No, it was a little bit later than that. I don't remember. I can look up my flight schedule, but I had some time actually after I went back and just chilled by the pool at the hotel and slept some more because I was again tired from the night before. But yeah, no, it was cool. La Cantera was cool. I don't know if I've made-
Jane, do you think that you would have appreciated Iguazu a bit more if you went before Antarctica?
That's a good question. I mean, it's definitely a different experience. It's not at all, you know, the same. Maybe a little bit. I don't think I didn't appreciate it. I just, yeah, I mean, I think I appreciated it. But maybe it would have been a different kind of appreciation if I had gone before. I definitely think it's worth it to see. Like, I love waterfalls. I'm a big waterfall person. They're super cool. So I thought it was cool overall.
Jeff, I do tend to send folks to Iguazu after Antarctica, but I hadn't ever really thought about the because I think weather-wise and everything, it's a lovely change after Antarctica, but I had never really considered the overwhelming numbers of humans that you are all of a sudden surrounded by. That's probably
around pretty much none. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that is true. Here you can see more penguins in their own poop. That is true, I guess, considering it from that perspective. Yeah. I mean, I think people, you know, have different expectations of different things. So I think it does, you know, depend on the person, you know, what they're expecting to see. So I thought it was nice to be able to thaw out and just kind of chill and relax. You know, relax after the Drake and swim in the pool. So.
Hey Jane, can you repeat how far away the La Cantera was from like town or other services? I think I missed that.
Yeah. It was pretty far-ish. Here, let's pull the map. I guess Basically a 4-star. So here's La Cantera. I mean, I guess it wasn't that far, but it did feel. I mean, this was like the road.
Mhm.
So I mean, we were a couple of miles out, and like I wasn't gonna walk at night, and I wasn't gonna, walk in the heat during the day or anything. Like here's the town itself. So I mean, it is one of the further ones when compared with like La Aldea de la Selva, which I know what we book, and Hotel St. George I was quoted. So I mean, it is one of the further ones. LOI Suites, I guess, is another one of the further ones. But there's an Owasi Iguazu. No way. Didn't
Yeah,
even know
I
that.
toured it when I was there.
Oh.
It's pretty wacky.
Yeah, so it's cool because you're like on this side of the. Let's see. There's like an indigenous community, like on this, like no, like on this side. Like this is like where the indigenous community lives. So then there's like no hotels. So, like this road is like separating you from the indigenous community, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if that answered your question, Kelly.
Was the restaurant expensive? I just want to get a feel for what.
It was, it was. I think I spent like, I got like a glass of wine and like an entree and an appetizer, and it was like $35, maybe $40. I mean, I would say it was like a little bit cheaper than a nicer restaurant here,
Okay.
but fairly comparable. And again, I thought the food was good.
Cool. Thanks.
The staff didn't really speak a lot of English there, which was interesting. I didn't think that like their English was great. Like I had to explain things to the waiter in Spanish a couple times because like they didn't get it, and they like messed. I was eating with these other girls, and they kind of like messed up the order, and so you can look at some other pictures if you want. Otherwise, we can go. I don't want to take up too much of your time. There's the Ushuaia. There's the Ushuaia port. It was definitely one of the smaller ships in port, which was surprising. Why is this? Oh, I guess my computer froze. It's not letting me go back. Anyways, so that was my trip, and I was really excited to have gone, and excited to have gone when I did, and I just felt really lucky to be there on my birthday, and it was just a really good trip to have, and a really good experience. The MV Ushuaia in all its glory is, if I do think that as far as like cost value, I know that there are certainly less expensive options out there, but if someone really does want a small ship and like wants more of it doesn't want like a corporate feel at all, like it's a good option.
Cool. Thank you, Jane.
Thanks, Jane.
All right, guys.
Awesome. Thanks.
you.
Have a good day.
Woohoo! Check that off my list.
Bye.
All right. I don't know if I need to do anything else, but bye, guys. I hope you stay well and stay safe.
Thanks,
Bye.
Jane.
Thanks, Jane.